Marvel
Guardians
of the Galaxy is a third-person action-adventure game that got awarded for Best Narrative of 2021.
And the story is you play Peter Quinn, the Star-Lord, with your band of kind of misfit mercenaries on your quest to mainly not go broke. But along the way, you might be able to save the galaxy.
There's a lot to do in this game, so I'm gonna read it. There's a fighting, stealth, scanning, quick-time events, flying with a rocket, boss fight, solving simple environmental puzzles, crafting, spending skill points on the new powers, walking around your ship, listening tons of conversation between the characters, finding collectibles, and unlocking new skins.
That's a lot of stuff.
But we're gonna focus on two main things of the game, which is story and gameplay.
Well, the story unlocks throughout the entire game while you're walking around or in action scenes, like the characters are talking constantly in your ear or around you, which could be annoying, but it kind of works because that's the kind of group that it is. What might be more annoying for some people is the amount of cutscenes when it seems like the story could be presented in the action parts of the game, but there is a lot of cutscenes, so that happens a lot. But what's interesting about the story unfolding is there are lots and lots of choices, sometimes just random dialogue choices to decide how you want to behave to the other characters, but some of those choices can have real serious effects in the story, like deciding whether the next mission is going to be stealthy or a firefight.
The other main thing of a gameplay is fighting. You're gonna fight a lot. This is an action adventure after all, and you're gonna fight with your character controlling Quill only. There are other characters in your party. You can use their skills to help you fight. You have your own skills. You can improve it, put skill points to learn a new skill, and even a special move called Huddle.
Yeah. The Huddle is really typical from American football when all the players get together, and in this case, Quill is the coach. You have to decide what kind of speech you're going to give to hype everyone in your team up, and if you choose the right one, then your team gets a buff.
And all while playing one of the songs from 80s, while shooting your blasters in a third person with a lock on, or even a kicking, fighting, all this kind of fun stuff.
The overall campaign will take about 18 hours, but there's a lot of other things to do, and especially if you want to get into all of the different character details and dialogue options and all of this, then there's a lot more content besides, and even some replayability to see what kind of other choices there are.
And there might be some missed opportunity on multiplayer because it's single player focused only. So now let's go to Should You Play It?
But first, you should know that this game is free actually right now until January 11th. This was the last mystery game of 17 free games in 17 days from the Epic Game Store. And we covered all of them, but usually what we do is we play and review every free weekly game from the Epic Game Store, so you know which free games are worth your time. So subscribe and you'll never have to be bored ever again.
On my playthrough, I never get bored. There's always something happening. The action is switching to scanning, a little bit exploring. Even though it's corridors, it feels like open world. It's not though. The visuals are really great, but the optimization, even 2 years after, isn't. There was even some sound stuttering at times, and the biggest advantage of this game is if you watched Guardians of the Galaxy movies, because the characters have different faces, different voices, and that really annoyed me a lot. Actually, if you never saw the movies, this game is even better for you. One more negative is that there's no sprint button. He always walks or really runs, but never really sprints. Everything else is really perfect. It's not too deep of a game, but it's fun, and I definitely recommend it.
Well, this is probably the most popular Marvel's game, and I also thought there was a missed opportunity when it comes to co-op because you're a team. However, after the disaster of the game that shall not be named that was co-op before that. Maybe it was good to focus on the story because the story was really strong, surprisingly strong. I think it really chased the charm of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Best narrative 2021?
And it actually managed to capture the charm of these characters, how much they fight, but they still become a team, how quirky they are. Sometimes the dialogue being there constantly got a little bit annoying. The main thing was the amount of cutscenes. I really wish that more of the story had been integrated into the action, but it's still interesting to see how the story unfolds. The combat is kind of unusual also because you don't control any of the other characters, but you do tell them when to use their special abilities, and so you really feel more like the leader of a team than like a tank or a superhero who's doing all of the fighting and action yourself. This was hard to get used to, but actually a really cool, I really liked it in the end. It was a very different approach to combat that I found satisfying once you get the hang of it. The one negative thing that I will say that you need to be aware of is that it takes a while to really get into it. It's slow paced at first. I would say the first few hours it's hard to really get into what the game is all about. So give it a chance, but if you have time to spend on it and you like this universe, definitely give it a try, especially now that it's free.
And if you like superheroes and maybe even a little bit more flying in your game than Peter Quill, how about playing Saints Row 4, which is all about superheroes? It's basically like GTA,
but with superhero powers, and it was also free from the Epic Game Store, so we've got a review of it. You can see that right up here.
And hope to see you next time.
Bye.